Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Today, we will be showing you how to leverage Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Project together. My name is Sarah Howard, and I'm with a Microsoft Gold partner called Progility. We've been implementing Microsoft PPM solutions for over 16 years now for large enterprises. So that includes everything from engineering, construction, IT, and new product development. We specialize in implementing these solutions for large enterprises. People tend to get a hold of us when they can't easily explain what's going on across all of their projects. They don't know what resources are working on what work, and they have a hard time getting consistent reports and metrics to make project-based decisions. We offer services and solutions in 3 core areas. On the left, you see that we offer deployment and consulting services, which is our core business. We provide professional services for successfully planning and implementing Microsoft Project Portfolio Management, including Microsoft Project Online, integrating PPM with line of business applications, delivering strategic portfolio management solutions to support top-level management planning. And we also have a growing business intelligence practice that leverages best-in-class solutions such as Microsoft Power BI. Progility offers a set of pre-built software solutions and accelerators based upon 15 years and 16 years of experience, including a set of Hammerhead products that provide improved access to your cloud PPM data. This accelerates access to visual reports and dashboards using Power BI and connects data between your PPM system and Azure DevOps, Teams, Microsoft Planner, and Active Directory to improve visibility, insight, and control over your work, people, and projects. Finally, Progility provides post-implementation support services, including expert care, which is designed to assist your PMO with gaining on-demand expertise on the solutions supported. We also offer training for your end users and administrators and an e-learning offering that can improve consistency and adoption for your users of your project management tools. We have a set of upcoming webinars covering topics ranging from the differences in project and project for the web to leveraging Power Apps with your Microsoft Project Management solution. All webinars will start at 1 p.m. Eastern, and you can register for one or multiple events through the Eventbrite link provided or by searching Eventbrite Progility in your browser. We hope you can join us for these upcoming sessions, which are designed based upon your feedback over the last 6 months. On April 7th, we'll be hosting a half-day virtual conference, which was specifically designed for you and your teams. This special event will feature speakers that include 3 successful enterprise clients presenting their lessons learned and best practices for deployment and adoption of project. There will also be presentations by Microsoft experts on the state of project and the overall direction of project. And there will also be input from Microsoft specialists in different verticals highlighting how businesses are using and deploying project and portfolio management. There will also be guidance from Progility experts on how to successfully plan and drive adoption of your PPM solution, as well as helping you better understand the changes going on in the marketplace for these solutions. So you and your teams won't want to miss this exciting online conference. Registration is limited, so sign up today on our Eventbrite page. And finally, all videos from this and previous series are available on our best practice playlist on YouTube, listed here on this page. Topics range from managing your digital transformation program using PPM technologies to integrating PPM with agile and line of business applications. So feel free to subscribe and access this library at any time and share with your colleagues. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Rob Hirschman, partner at Progility, who is going to go through our content. Rob, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Sarah, and thanks everyone for joining today. We're really excited to take you through this session, which is very, very focused on a lot of feedback we've gotten from our clients about better ways to use Microsoft Project and Teams together. A lot of organizations have driven to using Microsoft Teams mainly because of the pandemic, and has become a core platform for not only collaborating, but also sharing information. And now it's a way you can actually provide visibility into your projects. So we're going to go through what those challenges are, talk about the different solution components from Microsoft that would be part of a Teams-based project management solution with Project and Teams, give you a demonstration to show you some examples of what's possible, and then we'll walk through some deployment and planning considerations to help you can successfully deploy these kind of solutions. So hopefully you find this session useful. So what we're going to start out with is a couple of the challenges that we typically see from large organizations that are trying to do better project management and collaboration. It's obviously very, very challenging these days with everybody being remote. So projects extend beyond traditional local to regional and national, international boundaries. Folks are still using inboxes, and now we've included Teams in this. So people are using Teams, they've got channels, they've got inboxes, they've got SharePoint sites. Really, information is all over the place. And what we're finding is projects are continuing to slip. We're not getting any better at delivering them on time and on budget because information is typically distributed across multiple places. And we really need centralized project management tools and processes to bring all this information together. Additionally, with the growth of agile and iterative development processes in the marketplace, not just for IT, but for marketing and operations and non-IT projects, combine that with your traditional waterfall world, we've got different methodologies. We always have management asking for a top-level view of all the information. So when we look at this, there's needs for better project, program, and portfolio management. There's also better needs for collaboration across the organization as it relates to tasks and work. So these are some of the core challenges. And when we start to break it up from a project management perspective, there are really two sides to that coin. The first side is around project management is tracking data. That data on your projects can be in project schedules, which outline the tasks and deliverables and milestones. It can be about resources, who's working on what work on my projects to make sure I have the right capacity. Am I driving demand in the right way? Do I have availability? Can I deliver on the commitments I'm making to the business? I'm tracking detailed dates and milestones. I'm also tracking things like costs on my projects and other kind of metadata you might have on your projects today. So we start with the data we're going to track, as well as project metadata. It can be things like department, application, portfolio, and program. So that's really the core data we have that we want to track on our projects. From a collaboration perspective, we're always working on different artifacts or documents and different kinds of templates on projects. We've got lists of information. They can be action items. They could be meeting minutes. They could be executive decisions. It could be issues, and risks, and any kind of key things that are going to drive how we make decisions. We want to have a history of that so we can report off that. We talked about tracking risks and potential issues on projects, action items, potentially deliverables, and any other content we have. So in the world of project management, we're always looking at bringing this information together in a consistent, coherent way to really do better alignment, deliver better consistency, have transparency, as well as have that visibility that management is looking for. And there's some great Microsoft tools out there that can really help with this. And if we think about kind of the new world of work and where everything is going from a Microsoft perspective, Teams is right in the middle of that. We tend to think of Teams really as the new operating system. And every application that's out there is going to be delivered in some way through Teams. If we think about it from a project management perspective, we're looking at the project and process management information. That's going to be core. How do we capture that in a project and deliver that through Teams? We've got those documents that we're tracking and managing. We may have financial information that's probably in a financial system like an SAP or a PeopleSoft system. We want to do better collaboration, and this is really where Teams can be very helpful natively. We've got tasks we're assigned. If they're project tasks, they're typically in your project management system, Microsoft Project, or they're over in Planner or Tasks or To Do. Again, Teams can bring this information together in one place. We've got relationships we're trying to manage. We've got access to real-time data to make business decisions about the status and health of our portfolios. We've got to ensure we have a secure platform so users can only come in and see what you want them seeing, do what you want them doing. We want to enhance better collaboration and instant messaging and communicating with people. We always want to implement some kind of processes and some kind of automated workflow to streamline things. So we'll talk about that and show that. There's a need for getting enterprise reporting across our projects, programs, and portfolios so we can measure progress and health. And then we've got, as we mentioned before, different methodologies, whether it's agile, waterfall, or some kind of a mix of them. We can start to match that up to the right tool for the job. And the nice thing about it is within the Microsoft platform, we can accomplish most of this. SharePoint Online is a great technology to enforce and drive standardization, collaboration, and workflow. We've got Outlook as the email engine for notifications and reminders. We've got Excel for spreadsheets. We've got PowerPoint for presentations. We also have Project. And there's a couple different flavors of Project we're going to go through next to explain to you really what the differences are and what the right tool for the job might be. We may be using Dynamics on the ERP or CRM side. We can pull that information into Teams as well natively. Then we've got the Power Platform, which opens up all kinds of possibilities for integrating data for other systems, building out specific applications on top of our project management application. We can do a lot with Power Platform, with Power Automate, and Power Apps. And finally, OneNote, where we're going to keep all of our unstructured data and content. So if you think about Teams in the middle, processes around the edge, and then we've got all the applications we're going to leverage, you can really think of Teams as the hub, where we're going to be able to access all the information. Project is going to be the app that's going to help you capture and manage this information integrated with other components that are here. So if you're starting to think about how do I use Teams to do project management, you don't want to think about it as I'm going to build this into Teams. You want to think about it as which of the Microsoft components can I leverage in the infrastructure that's there and deliver that through Teams so that I have that governance and controls. So I use Teams for what it's really good for and those other applications for what they're designed for. Within the Microsoft Project Management Suite, the product team actually builds 3 products, and most people are familiar with some of these. Microsoft Planner at the base level is really for ad hoc, personal, and small group productivity. When you kind of outgrown to do or your action item list from Outlook, you want a more collaborative way to do it, but you're not doing formal projects. Maybe you're just collaborating on specific activities. We can do our task tracking. We can visualize things in boards. We can do ad hoc light projects. It's great for action items and meeting minutes and assigning tasks to people. When we started talking about a work structure, that's where we're going to be looking at the project management tools in the suite. And there are two core tools in the Microsoft Project Suite designed for project management in Office 365. The first of those is called Project for the Web. Now, Project for the Web was released in October of 2019 into the commercial organizations that have project licenses, and it was recently released into university tenants or the education tenants. It's not available in the government tenants yet. Project for the Web is a lighter touch, purely web-based project management solution designed for the occasional or part-time project manager. That's the audience it's designed for, and allows those users to intuitively go to a browser, to go in and build out a visual project, to do some light task creation and task tracking, to look at basic schedules, to put those on a Kanban, to visualize those on a timeline, and also report across all their projects. All the data in Project for the Web is in what's called DataFlex, used to call the CDS. So it's all in a database in Office 365. And then you can extend this out over time using the Power Platform and Power BI for reporting and applications. So Project for the Web is where Microsoft is spending a lot of time investing because they see a big play in this middle tier of the market where you have people that aren't professional project managers, but they still need to do project management as a part of their job. The third tool you may be looking at is Project Online, which is Microsoft's current full-featured project and portfolio management application. And it's designed for PMOs and IT organizations that have structure, that have process, that are really looking to do the portfolio management, that want to do intake and demand management, need to do resource planning and resource management. You want to do time tracking and collaboration, get issue and risk management. Maybe you're tracking time and timesheets. You want to do any kind of integration with a line of business system, as well as have dashboards and reporting. So the really nice thing about the Microsoft Suite is you can pick and choose different components of this that are relevant to different groups. You know, in IT, you may have a very structured organization where you do large projects and programs. Project Online is a great fit. You may have people in the finance, operations, and marketing groups where they need to do project management, but Project Online is too heavy. Project for the Web is a killer fit. You may have other groups that really don't do formal projects, but they still need a way to track their work and visualize it. Planner is a great fit. Or we have some organizations that use a combination. An example would be we use Project Online for our structured projects and programs. When we have things like action items coming out of meetings, we assign them in Planner and we get the updates. They're not directly attributed to the project, but it's still associated with the project. We can see all that in a Teams interface. So you can think about kind of picking and choosing components that are relevant to you. And if you see one you like Project for the Web, you can build upon that and build functions over time or grow into more of an online strategy. So these are the components we're going to be showing you here in the demonstration next. Wanted to lay them out from a tools perspective because remember, Project is the app and Teams is really the hub. So let's get into our demonstration now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to log into everybody's favorite application, Microsoft Teams. Teams here. Now I'm in Teams. And what we've done is from a structural perspective, there's a couple different levels you can think about setting up your teams and then the channels within them. You can see on the left-hand nav here, I've got a PMO team, and that is generally designed for the folks that are running the PMO or the program or portfolio management office. That's the place we're going to go and we're going to provide access to general PMO types of information, reports, processes. We're also going to put our standards and best practices in here. We're also going to enable training and learning development here too. So if you think about traditionally what you would have done in a PMO portal, you can port that over and use Teams as the front end and still leverage some of the technologies on the back end you would have in your portal. Down here, we've got specific projects. So in this case, we're going to focus on the health assessment reporting tool project. For that project, we have a general tab, which is going to be made available to the folks that are on the project team based on their security. We're going to have a team member view here. We're also going to have a DevOps view that's up here as well. So we may have team members that want to integrate the data and see it. We also may have a different view for the development teams. We may want to get visibility into what the dev teams are working on in the project. So when we click on the General tab here, you'll see we have a series of tabs at the top. And this is where we can start actually looking at information on our projects and interacting with it. Now, this project is more of a traditional waterfall project where we've got different phases. So in this case, we're looking at the document library that's in Project Online's SharePoint online system, where we have a structure of build, change control, and contracts. These are the standard document libraries in SharePoint. And now I can upload my documents, update my documents here. If I'm a team member, it's a great place to go to do this instead of having to go out to the SharePoint site for a project. If I want to look at the schedule for the project, this is going to give me a high-level view into that project schedule that the project manager is managing today. And then I can even drill into this and say, well, in the design phase, what are we doing? And once we get into development, we may have some iterative development going on that's maybe being done by the DevOps team. I may want to know the status or health of that. And I can even look at the resources or the milestones. So it gives me a view into the actual schedule that's part of that project. But remember, in the project management world, schedule is very important, but it's not everything. We've got those documents. We also have risks, and we're tracking risks on a project. These are, again, stored in the Project Online SharePoint site, but we have access to them here through the Teams channel. We also have what we call action items. And action items are a great way to think about using Microsoft Planner to actually track different actions on a project. And you'll see if I look here, I've got different libraries or different buckets. So I can scroll over and I can see out of a status meeting, there may be administrative activities. And out of that meeting, we also have an action that came out to send the financials deck to the CFO for review. And there's certain actions within that. Mike's got to do one, Ed has to do another, Todd has to do another as well. What we can do is we can use Planner or Teams for Tasks, as it's called now, for those action items and meeting minutes. Again, we're using Teams as the user interface or the wrapper on top of it. We can track our deliverables that are, again, stored in our project management system in Project Online and start to look at the deliverable due dates and the progress on those. We can track our issues here as well. So we may have our issue repository that's, again, in Project Online. And then finally, we've got things like our team notebook. This is the OneNote notebook that's attached to the project where we keep all of our unstructured meeting content, our status meetings, and all the action items are stored here. Again, it's all in one place. The project team always knows where to go. And finally, if we want to run an on-demand status report as a project manager, we go into the status meeting, we open up Teams, we come in here to this, and this is actually Power BI. We select the project we want to report off of. And now we have an on-demand report of status on this particular project. Okay. We can tab through and also see all the project activities. So we can see what's finishing this week, what's due to next week, what's late, and what's delinquent right now. So just by using Teams, we can use this visibility into the project status report using Power BI coming out of our project management system. You can also tab down here and look at all the project issues that are a part of this, the project risks, and this is all drillable. So if I wanted to see just the category 1 risks that are the biggest impact to the project, I can drill into that. And because, again, we're using Power BI behind this, it is fully interactive. And finally, sometimes we just want to take a look at the timeline. We can visualize the timeline from the project without having to be an expert in Microsoft Project at all. So this is what a project manager might see. And one of the nice things about this is you can actually enable better collaboration. So it's great that we have a schedule, but what if I have a comment on that schedule? Well, in Teams, I do have the conversations tab here. I can start a conversation and I can make some comments here and start to collaborate with folks and say, schedule is looking good. Let's get going with time. And then I can tag people with an @notice here. That I keep the collaboration going on all the components in my project. That's a great use of Teams with project in the background here. Project, again, is the store for the data. Teams is the hub on top of it that's going to allow for that collaboration. So that's really a review of what a project manager would see. If we kind of take it to a higher level of what maybe someone in the PMO would see or a portfolio manager, we come up to the PMO team and we go to the channel called General. And this is where we can get access to different components that we might want at a PMO level. Now, one of those might be our PMO portal. This is going to store all the artifacts and process and assets we have as an organization, but now I can make it quickly and easily accessible to users. It's in SharePoint Online, but again, I'm surfacing it up, that portal, so people don't have to go to 3 or 4 different places to access it. They don't have to remember the URL. If I wanted to view a portfolio dashboard, this is a great example of a potential portfolio dashboard that's built in Power BI. And you can see it's got a portfolio report. So this is for my directors or executives, where they can drill down and say, well, which of my programs are in the red right now? And what's the story with this transformation program? And they can drill all the way down to the program and then the project below it. So we can use the interactivity of Power BI at that portfolio level so managers and executives can go right into Teams to see this information. We can use the roadmap functionality that Microsoft released last year and updated through the app to visualize on a visual roadmap all of the projects I have going on across my group or organization. You'll see the roadmap will build out here. Now I have a visual roadmap of all the different projects I have going on, as well as top-level milestones across the organization. It's a great way to do my visual road mapping and then sharing this with folks through Teams. I can look at my traditional project views that might come from Project Online. And maybe here I want a view of all the top projects that are going on across my organization. And then I want to see by methodology, show me the Agile or the waterfall projects all in one place. I can then use that functionality that's behind the scenes in project to drill into the detail. So I'm allowing the user to select the kind of information they want and drill into it using a Teams interface. We find a lot of organizations are starting to do more idea management. So what you could do is you could use a Power App or you could use SharePoint to build out a list of ideas, capture those ideas here, and then capture all of the new ideas coming into the organization and then triage those and make projects into some. So you can use this to support any kind of front-end ideation and scoring of your projects. If I wanted to do more portfolio analysis, I could do that. If I wanted to enable program reports, where I'm actually providing dashboards and reports across multiple programs. And then I can go and just select the program I want to analyze. Maybe it's my transformation program. And now I've got a full dashboard view of that program and all the projects within it. So think this is the higher level views that are defined in Project Online, SharePoint Online, as well as Power BI. And I'm just providing access and views into that information. And then maybe I want some resource management views, or I've got folks using Project for the Web and I want to know what their people are working on. And I can provide different views and reports here. So I can drill into resource dashboards and resource assignments and look at very specific people and say, really what's Alex working on? What projects does he have? What work does he have? And is he over or under allocated? And how far along is he? So again, using that same framework that we can use at a PMO level, but some of the nice things you can do is you can implement standards. At a PMO level, we may want to show what is the core project management process we have today? And what are some of the templates? Give me access to the templates. Or, within the initiation phase, instead of sending somebody to a document, actually build your lifecycle phases into this. This uses Visio Online as a part of SharePoint Online, and then people can drill down and get more information on specific process areas. So we have a lot of organizations that are using this to digitize or automate a lot of their standard procedures and processes. It's an easier way to get access to the data. And finally, at that organizational level, you also want to think about people development and training development, where we can actually provide a channel here for the PMP preparation. If people are going through their PMP prep, it gets them right to all the training materials. If they wanted to go in and look at e-learning, there's a subscription to e-learning here where you could go in and it'll actually walk you through all of your training in an e-learning or online basis, course by course with tests and a certification at the end. You could build all this in here, or you could have your e-learning or your LMS system do it as well. So that's really what the view looks like at a top level or a portfolio level. Kind of taking it down the next level with what a team member might see. So again, within that health assessment reporting tool channel, we now have a team member channel. And for a team member, they're really concerned about a couple things. Number one, again, what are the action items? What's coming out of the status meetings we have that I own? I want to update documentation or deliverables on a project. So the same view that a project manager would have with a little different set of controls. I'm going to have a team calendar view that's going to be structured so I can come in here and see I've got a milestone review meeting or a final review session coming up, and then the standing status meetings. These can end up on their calendar, or you could put them on the team's calendar like you see here. We've got the notebook, which is coming from OneNote. Again, a consistent way to capture our notes and our unstructured content. But you can also go in and submit a change request. Maybe there's a change to an activity or a task, and I want someone to go in and submit that. They can do all this through Teams and maybe use a Power App or Power Automate to route that for approval. So you can use this to capture things like changes, risks, issues, but importantly, they come in here and they can see a listing of all their tasks. And these would be all their project-based tasks and activities across all their projects. And they can visualize those and even update the status of those. This is using Project and Project Online on the back end to visualize this and allow people to actually go and update their progress on all of their tasks or even view that on a calendar view for themselves. So for team members, they're going to have one place to go to view all the information on the project, a little different view than a project manager. And giving you a little bit of a bonus, so a lot of organizations that have moved to Agile do have a DevOps structure in place. They're using a tool like an Azure DevOps or maybe something like Jira for issues. What you can do instead of having to think about really detailed integration between these systems, it's all about visibility. So if I want to know from a development perspective, what features are on the board for this project, I would be able to actually get a view into Azure DevOps. So this is actually using Teams connecting to Azure DevOps for this project. And then I can actually look at, we're doing integration with MS Outlook. What does that look like? Who's collaborating on it? When's it going to start and finish? So what's the work associated with that here? You can even allow people, if they have permission, to drag and drop activities around, make things that are in the pipeline active or active resolved. So it's fully interactive. Or maybe I really want to know for my dev team, what's on their storyboard today? What are they working on? And if I look at this mobile app, what's that all about? Again, you have the ability to drill down to the detail. Teams has a great layer here, a great UI layer to provide that visibility into activities across all your project work. Finally, you may want to do some reporting. So your DevOps teams, you can actually run a Power BI report here. See, it'll build out, and I can just select again the project component that's being worked on in DevOps. And now I can see maybe for a person, for Josh, what are all of Josh's activities right now? Is it a user story or a feature? How far along is it? How many story points are associated with it? I can look at things like throughput. And then I can even run a sprint level report coming out of Power BI. So these are the kind of metrics that your Agile organization are probably tracking today, where you would see a specific sprint, you would see specific sprint goals, there's committed work and work that's been done. You've got things like cycle times, you've got capacity against plan. Down here on the bottom, you have your sprint monitoring and task monitoring and remaining work, your burn downs essentially. And I can say, for my work for network, what is my cycle time? It's about 11 days, but if the work we're doing for cloud, that looks like 8 days. And the work that's pure DevOps, again, it's about 6 days. So it really gives you the ability to drill into the data in your DevOps system and get that visibility and not worry so much about integrating it from all the 4 or 5 integration points. Let's just look at the progress and make decisions based off it. You've got the right level of metrics here. And finally, if you're using a third-party system like a Jira or a version 1, Teams has connectors into those tools as well. So you won't be left out. You'll be able to go and look at all the Jira issues you have, to go create a new issue and drill into a specific user story and get all the detail, see who it's assigned to, start to see the status, what's the priority, and you get all the functionality of a tool like Jira delivered through Microsoft Teams. So Teams becomes this wonderful level of a wrapper around it all. And this is really the most powerful part of Teams, and project management is a great use case for using Teams. But again, you don't want to start with it from a top level of how do I build this in Teams? You want to think about what Microsoft applications, what other applications do I have in my environment that could support using this today with the structure and process we already have in place. And that's really a good practice for how you can start thinking about using Teams and project together. So that was a little bit of a demonstration overview of what's possible. Obviously, your solution in your environment is going to vary based off your maturity, the specific project management tools you're using, whether you're using Project Online, Project for the Web, or a combination of both. It's okay to use all of that because they're all supported within a Microsoft Teams environment, which is great. If you were looking to actually kind of move down that road, we have a bit of a structure. This is kind of a framework, if you think about it, with Teams at the top layer. So Teams is that, again, that hub. And then you've got different components. You have Project and Project for the Web for project and portfolio and resource management, which is going to track your project information. You've got SharePoint Online, which is going to be storing documents. And Teams back end for documents is SharePoint Online. Working project and SharePoint together gives you more structure around that. So you're leveraging a technology Microsoft already has in place. How we're using Planner or tasks for Teams now, as it's called. We're using that for action items, decisions, anything we need to assign to somebody in near real time and get updates where you want to get and remind them of that stuff that's outside of a formal work breakdown structure. And then we're using Power BI for all the analytics, dashboards, and reports across all this data and plugging in that DevOps information as well. So think of it from a framework perspective with Teams at the top, but how you define the bottom layers will define what you show and who you show it to in Teams. So, going forward, we have a lot of folks that are asking, what do I think about when I'm thinking about doing some of this stuff? The first thing, and you'll see this probably on all of our presentations, the first thing you want to do is understand what your needs are. what are my requirements at a high level for project management? What are the things I need to do that I can't do today? And then you want to start determining which components of the Microsoft suite are the best fit. Is it Project Online for enterprise project and portfolio and resource management for the more mature organizations? Is it Project for the Web for your lighter touch projects? Or is it a combination of both? And like we said, most organizations have some kind of a flavor of both involved. For reporting, most organizations are leaning towards Power BI, mainly because of the flexibility of the platform and its ability to integrate with all the tools we showed, as well as dozens of other applications and databases. Think about leaning on SharePoint Online. SharePoint is not going away anytime soon. Really, for document management, collaboration, some of the process management, the things SharePoint is really, really good at. Don't force teams into a situation to do something it's really not designed for. Look at SharePoint Online because that is the underlying engine behind Teams anyway. You're also potentially looking at Azure DevOps if you're doing any development operations work, agile work, collaboration on your development work, even using GitHub. DevOps will bring that information together and it's fully integrated with Teams as we showed you. You just start thinking about using Planner for day-to-day task management, assigning something from a status meeting to a team member. Planner is a great tool to do that with and it helps you visualize it. And then we're finding a lot more use cases these days for Power Apps. Power Apps can really help you do a couple of things. First thing it can do is help you extend out what you're already doing with your project management system. Maybe you want to integrate financial information or build an app that pulls financial information from SAP and routes it for documents and approval and has a workflow behind it. That's where Power Apps, a Power App with Power Automate could really come into play to automate the process, extend the platform. Or if you're just starting with Project for the Web and you think about maybe I want to build this out over time, it's all built on a Power Apps and Power Platform. So pick the right tool for the job, understanding these will all work with Teams natively, which is just outstanding. It's a great opportunity for improvement here. If you already have project in place, you can start to think about ways to integrate that in. There's some good best practices for that as well. But remember, think about planning for the deployment of the app, which is the project management environment and work management, and then the hub, which is what Teams is really designed for. Also, you want to start thinking about, do I need to automate the creation of any of this stuff? If I already have information in project, I'm using Teams, I don't want to have a project manager go in and every time they create a new project have to recreate all these tabs. We have some ways to automate some of that with technology. We have some code that runs in the back end that automatically creates the team, creates the tabs, creates the channel when you create a new project, and also links it in and creates that planner plan for the project for those action items. So if that's a requirement, definitely reach out. We can provide you some good examples of that. You also want to think about piloting this. Don't think about rolling it out for everybody in the organization, even though Teams is out there for everybody. Think about piloting the Teams and project management functionality within small groups. Develop based off their work patterns, what works and what doesn't. See what people really need access to. Enable that through Teams. Then use that as a driver for other groups and rolling that out forward. Pilots are a very powerful way to drive success and make sure you're driving really good adoption and user buy-in. And finally, training. Training is huge. You definitely want to think about training everybody based on their role. It's not as easy as going into Teams and doing stuff. As you can see, you're going to expect different roles to interface with the data in different ways in your project management system. So think about role-based training based off what people do every day, what they need to do, and the kind of information you're looking to capture from different folks. So with that, that concludes our presentation. I'm going to hand it back to Sarah at this point. Sarah?
Thanks, Rob. That was a great presentation. Before we jump into Q&A, we did want to share some of the value our team can offer you. We typically work with clients in one of 4 phases of implementation. So the first phase is the implementation preparation, which can include assisting with the evaluation of the various Microsoft solutions to determine which is the best fit for your organization. This may include targeted demos and pre-planning engagements to flesh out requirements and use cases, as well as educating stakeholders on what's possible. The second phase is the actual implementation of the solutions, which includes analysis and design, technical implementation, testing, and preparation for go live in your environment. In this area, Progility offers professional services and over 16 years of experience with successful deployments, and leveraging our experienced team and a set of accelerators designed to help you get the most out of your Microsoft investments. The third phase is training, which includes the delivery of tailored, role-based education and knowledge transfer sessions to your users, system, and PMO administrators. We also offer e-learning, which is gaining popularity, and this allows for self-paced and end-user training and internal certification of users leveraging cloud-based technology. The fourth phase of deployment The fourth phase is deployment, transition, and adoption, is often forgotten, but potentially the most critical. This is where users are actively engaging or managing data in the system. Managers are using and trusting reports, and this is where the real process of improvement and opportunities lie. And where having a reach out support mechanism or on-staff PPM expert can make a huge difference. So depending on where you are in the overall life cycle, Progility can help you reduce risk, increase adoption potential, and help guide you in making the right decisions to ensure project and portfolio management is a success. We also now have experience with the new Power Platform for extending out Project for the Web, as well as Project Online. So reach out to discuss specifics if there is any interest. So with that, we will now hop into Q&A. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. So we do have a question from Pat Murphy. Rob, is there any ability to do resource management with Project for the Web?
It's a great question. So Pat, Project for the Web is kind of a tool in its infancy. Currently, the only thing you can do with Project for the Web from a resource management perspective is assign resources to tasks. It does not allow you to say a percentage of a resource's time, and they're either working on the task the whole time or they're not working on it at all. So it's a very limited resource management functionality. Microsoft is currently in the process of mapping out what they're going to be doing around resource management in Project for the Web. So if the requirement is I just need to assign a resource to a task, the problem is if I have that resource assigned to 10 tasks at the same time, it's all going to be additive. So in Microsoft Project Online, you can definitely do resource capacity planning and management around that. But currently in Project for the Web, that's very limited functionality.
Thanks, Rob. And part two, $1 million question. What is the future plan for Project Online, as Microsoft does not plan to develop it further?
That's a great question, Pat. So this is all TBD. You know, Microsoft's big investment is in the online platform all through O365. So Project Online will continue to be supported. They're investing more and more in that middle tier we showed before, the Project for the Web. They believe the market growth is in that unstructured project manager, the kind of non-professional project manager, people that aren't officially project managers that do project management. So they're working on building that out. Now, will that become a replacement for Project Online someday? We really don't know. You know, right now it's targeted at a very different audience, and that's why both tools are still available. Why Project Online is out there, and there's no end of life date for it yet. Because depending on client feedback, it may stay exactly where it is. We may have Project Online, we may have Project for the Web. You know, eventually, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see more growth of Project for the Web in a more of a PPM flavor. You know, adding basic things like issues and risks and status and deliverables. That's just going to be core to the platform, and there's some things coming out around that. But resource management, I mean, that's not a near-term requirement. We don't see that in the next 6 to 12 months. Task management may be coming in the next 6 to 9 months. So I think you're going to see them kind of coexist for quite a while. And at some point, there may be some kind of a transition away from Project Online. We're just not there yet. It's hard to tell.
Thanks, Rob. Do we have any more questions? Please type them in the chat window. We'll give you another 15 seconds or so. All right, I think that's it for questions for today. So thanks everyone again. To learn more about how Progility can assist with deploying project and teams, reach out and we'll set up a time to review your needs. My name is Sarah Howard with Progility. My contact information is listed here. So thanks again for attending our webinar and have a great rest of your day.